The Dallas Cowboys training camp is turning into an absolute madhouse, and some unexpected underdogs are blowing the lid off the entire roster competition. If you thought you knew who was making this final 53-man roster, you need to throw that depth chart right out the window because everything is changing in real time. From absolute defensive studs picking off elite NFL quarterbacks in joint practices to unsung offensive weapons clawing their way into first-team reps, we are witnessing pure drama in Oxnard. If you love pure, uncut Cowboys football coverage, make sure to hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss a second of America's team. Let's start off with a player who technically shouldn't even be categorized as a hidden gem, but his raw performance before getting banged up demands an absolute spotlight, and that is rookie linebacker Jyshawn Barham. Before taking a brutal hit from the injury bug, Barham was looking like an absolute steal out on that practice field, showcasing the high motor intensity that made everyone salivate when Dallas called his name in the third round. But here is the massive debate swirling around camp right now. When a top-tier draft pick delivers instant highlights before getting sidelined, does he even belong in a sleeper conversation, or is his roster spot already carved in stone? It's a fascinating dilemma because his early physical dominance proved he belongs, yet his absence leaves fans desperately wondering how high his ultimate ceiling truly is once he gets back on the gridiron full-time. That brings us directly to the real jaw-dropping star of the linebacker room, a guy who has violently kicked the door down and demanded a front-row seat on defense, Justin Barron. Heading into camp, Barron was sitting on the extreme edge of the bubble, just hoping for a miracle to make a brief impression on special teams. Then came that legendary joint practice, and Barron single-handedly wrecked opposing offensive game plans by picking off starting quarterback Matthew Stafford once and then picking off backup Stetson Bennett twice in the exact same afternoon. When a linebacker goes out there and intercepts NFL quarterbacks 3 times in a single session, how in the world can coaching staff management even dream of putting him on waivers? The league is filled with talent-hungry front offices, and if Dallas tries to sneak a playmaker like Barron through to the practice squad, another franchise will snatch him up within 5 seconds. Plus, when you factor in his absolute demon mentality on special teams, keeping him on the active roster isn't just an option anymore, it is an absolute necessity for this football team. Switching over to the secondary, we have to talk about a secondary storyline that feels like an emotional movie sequel, safety Julius Wood. His entire journey in Dallas has been a wild emotional roller coaster for anyone following this organization. Back when he first showed up as an undrafted free agent out of East Carolina, he put together a sensational training camp and preseason, showing off physical, hard-hitting instincts that had fans raving. Yet, through questionable front office roster calculus, he was let go, snatched up by Tennessee, experienced a suspension, and eventually found his way right back home to the Cowboys practice squad. Now, history is repeating itself in the most dramatic fashion possible. With key guys in the safety room like Malik Hooker, P.J. Locke, and Jalen Thompson missing time during camp reps, Wood has stepped up with the first-team defense alongside guys like Elijah Clark and Wanya Thomas, making brutal, physical plays every single day. He isn't playing polite, he is laying hits, jumping routes, and proving that cutting him the first time was a massive mistake. Which brings us to our official question of the day that I want every single member of Cowboys Nation to answer down below. Should the front office force a spot for Julius Wood on the final 53-man roster, or is the safety room simply too crowded to keep him? Drop a Y for yes or an N for no in the comments section right now, because I want to see where everyone stands on this absolute defensive engine. Moving over to the offensive backfield, the energy and dynamic competition at running back is getting extremely spicy thanks to former Pitt standout Israel Abanikanda. Anyone who watched his collegiate tape knows he possesses world-class, dynamic track speed that can instantly flip field position, but his transition in the pro ranks was derailed early on after a limited rookie stint with the Jets. Now in Dallas, every single day you look at practice summaries and film clips, Izzy is making something happen, whether he is bursting through defensive gaps or showing game-changing potential as a kick returner. The tragedy here isn't his talent, it is the absolute logjam in front of him. With Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, Phil Maffa, and special teams staple Malik Davis filling up the room, Abanikanda faces an uphill battle to carve out a guaranteed roster spot. Yet every time he touches the rock, you see pure, unadulterated explosive potential, making the upcoming preseason games an absolute must-watch showcase for his career. Over on the outside at wide receiver, undrafted free agent Camden Brown out of Georgia Southern is quickly turning into one of the most exciting underdog stories in the entire organization. Brown has built an incredible, seamless chemistry with quarterback Sam Howell, running silky smooth routes and consistently high-pointing the football against defensive backs. That chemistry has elevated Brown from an afterthought to getting legitimate second-team wide receiver reps alongside the main offense. Everyone knows CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Kavonte Turpin are locked into their positions, but that fifth and sixth receiver slot is wide open for the taking. Brown has the length, hands, and dog mentality required to snatch that job away from older veterans, and if he continues this dynamic tear through the preseason, sending him to the practice squad might be an impossible risk. Then you look at the edge rusher position, where Isaiah Land is putting on another masterclass in relentless hustle. Just like Julius Wood, Land was a fan favorite out of Florida A&M who got claimed away on waivers before finally navigating his path back into a Cowboys jersey. The defensive line room is absolute stacked with heavy hitters, Rashawn Gary, Marshawn Kneeland, Sam Williams returning healthy, James Houston coming off a monstrous 5.5 sack campaign, and Marist Liufau providing versatility. The mathematical odds for Land look tight on paper, but when a guy consistently penetrates the backfield and generates pressure off the edge, you simply cannot ignore the production. If he pops off during preseason game action like he did in past camps, Dallas will face an agonizing decision at cutdown time. In the interior trenches, defensive tackle Kelvin Gilliam Jr. out of Virginia Tech is asserting himself as a massive dark horse contender. Blessed with elite athletic traits and impressive physical size, Gilliam fits the exact physical prototype this defensive staff craves up front. While his college stat sheet was bogged down by team struggles in Blacksburg, his disruptive nature in one-on-one camp drills has earned direct praise from senior scouts and analysts. With rotation pieces banged up and roster spots up for grabs behind the starting nose tackle role, Gilliam possesses the quickness and lower body power to completely steal a backup interior slot if he translates this practice dominance into live exhibition games. We also cannot forget about the veteran secondary presence of Joe Giles Harris, who has quietly turned heads with his veteran savvy and instinctual play. Bouncing around the league as a hardened journeyman, Giles Harris brings prototype size at 6'3" and over 215 pounds, offering crucial special teams reliability and depth linebacker instincts that coaching staff members dream about. While his path requires outperforming younger prospect picks, his physical toughness keeps his name heavily in the mix as cutdown day approaches. Finally, saving the absolute highest potential wild card for last, tight end Michael Trigg out of Baylor. Talent has never, ever been the question with Trigg. His college tape at USC, Ole Miss, and Baylor features jaw-dropping athletic catches that rival any top-tier receiver in football. The question was always about consistency and off-field focus. But right now in camp, Trigg looks laser-focused, displaying mismatched size and fluid route running that makes him an absolute nightmare for linebackers in coverage. With the third tight end position wide open behind the starters, Trigg has a real chance to push Luke Schoonmaker and turn into a lethal red zone weapon. Which of these incredible breakout stars do you think will actually shock the league and secure their place on the opening day roster? Drop your favorite standout player names down in the comments below.